Welcome to Logical Magic Indian Stories in English. Today, you'll listen to a comedy and a light-hearted story by Premchand, Mote Ramji Shastri. Who does not know Pandit Mote Ramji Shastri? He always worked according to the attitude of the government officials. During the days of the Swadeshi movement, he had vehemently opposed that movement. Even during the days of Swarajya movement, he had received the certificate of loyalty to the state from the officials. But even after this friskiness, when his fortune did not wake up from the sweet sleep of slumber, and he could not rid himself of the drudgery of teaching, then in the end he thought of another stratagem. He went home and he said to his wife, "My skull is getting disintegrated due to rambling and rote memorizing these old parrots. What have I gained dispensing knowledge for so long that I should hope to get anything now?" The wife got worried and said, "Some support is needed even for food." Mote Ram said, "You are always worried about your stomach. Hardly a day passes when I don't get an invitation, and even if someone criticizes it, I do not come home without a serving for you. Will all our hosts die today? But what if you did nothing else in entire life except filling up stomachs? Some happiness of the world should also be enjoyed. I have decided to become a doctor." The woman said in surprise, "You will become a doctor? Have you studied some medicine?" Mote Ram, "Nothing happens by studying medicine. In life, knowledge is not as important as intelligence. There are a few formulae, that's all. Today itself I shall prefix the title Bhishtacharya before my name. Who is going to question whether or not I am a Bhishtacharya? Why should anyone worry about testing my knowledge? I shall have a big signboard made with these words written on it. Men and women suffering from venereal diseases are specially treated here. I will grind and sieve Had, Bahera, Amla worth 2 to 4 paise and keep it. Simply this much stuff is enough for this job. Yes, I will advertise in newspapers and circulate notices. In it, letters of gentlemen from remote places like Lanka, Madras, Rangoon, Karachi, etc. will be recorded. These will be the witnesses of my medical skills. Why would people bother to find out whether or not these people of these names live in those places or not? Then you will see how my practice flourishes." Woman, "But if you give medicine without knowing it, then what will be the benefit?" Ram, "May not work, who cares? The doctor's job is to give medicine. He does not take the contract to defeat death, and then all the people who fall ill do not die. My point is that those who are not given any medicine also recover when the disorder is pacified. Doctors get fame unasked. So even if 1 among 5 patients treated by me recovers, then I will definitely get his fame. The remaining 4 who died won't come back to denounce me. I have thought deeply about it. Nothing can be better than this work. I know how to write articles. I also make poems. I shall write a few articles on the importance of Ayurveda, inserting here and there a few passages of verses, all using spicy language. Then you will see how so many are fooled. Don't be under the impression that I have wasted myself teaching old parrots. I have been carefully observing the tactics of successful doctors of the city, and after so many days I have come to know the basic mantra of their success. If God willed, then one day you will be covered with gold from head to foot." Suppressing her delight, wife said, "At my age, what jewelry will I wear? Nor do I have such desire. But tell me that even if you do not know how to make medicines, how will you make it, the concoctions, when you don't even recognize the medicines at all?" Mote Ram, "My dear, you are really a simpleton. Vaidya do not need any of these things. Only a pinch of ash by Vaidya is the concoction, the powder and the chemical. All that is needed is some show-off. A bit room is needed in which there should be a carpet, and on shelves some 10 or 5 vials. Nothing else is needed except this, and intellect does all the rest. You will see how effectively my writings laced with literary embellishments will be. You already know how well versed I am in metaphors. Today, I do not see anyone on this earth who can match me in my knowledge of metaphors. After all, I haven't been digging grass all these years. 5 to 10 people will come and visit me for the discussion on poetry. They would be my agents. Patients would come to me through them. You would see I shall practice Vedic medicine in full swing, not on the strength of any Ayurvedic knowledge, but on that of the knowledge of heroines of erotic literature. His wife spoke with a feeling of disbelief. I am afraid that even these students would slip away from your hands and you would belong to neither here nor there. It is written in your destiny to tutor students, and after getting kicked from all sides, you will have to return to rote these parrots. Why don't you believe in my abilities? Because in this case too you would behave deceitfully. I hate your deceitfulness. Why do you want to become what you are not, what you cannot be? You did not become a leader and gave up in disgust. It is your crookedness that always becomes evident, and this annoys me. I want you to be a good man, live an honest life. But when do you ever listen to me? Moteram, after all, when shall I be able to make use of my knowledge of erotic literature? Wife, why don't you work in service of a rich man, recite a few verses before him, and he would be happy and will give you something or the other? Why do you want to become an impostor doctor? Moteram, I know such tricks of this trade that were not known even to the forefathers of doctors. All these Vaidya run here and there just for 1 or 2 rupees. I shall keep my fees at 5 rupees and the cost of ride over and above. People would think of me as a great doctor. Otherwise, why would there be such a high fee? Now the wife felt a little confidence, and she said, now in a long time you have said something sensible. But remember, you won't be able to establish yourself here. You will have to move to another city. Moteram laughed. Do you think I don't even know that much? Our place will be set up in Lucknow. In just 1 year, I shall establish myself so well that all the doctors there would bite the dust. I know many other tricks. I won't start treating a person without having examined him at least 2 to 3 times. I would say, unless I know the nature of the patient well, I cannot give him medicines. Tell me, how will that be? His wife was exhilarated. She said, now I am convinced. I have no doubt your practice will flourish. Now I have no doubt. But don't play these tricks with the poor, or you would be in trouble. A year went by. Bhishtacharya Pandit Moteramji Shastri became famous all over Lucknow. He had good knowledge of metaphors and verses, was a little trained in music too, and on top of it he was a specialist in the venereal diseases. The fortune of cities' playboys and connoisseurs aroused. Panditji recited poetry to them, entertained them, and prescribed potency medicines for them. And among the nobles he would praise the wealthy sky high, who have a special desire for potency enhancing medicines. Within a year he was established with such an imprint as if he was the only physician in Lucknow who treated venereal diseases. He treated his patients in strict privacy. He began to be worshipped among licentious widowed queens and short-sighted, pleasure-loving wealthy, and he became arrogant and would not consider anyone anything in front of him. His wife tried to persuade him not to get involved with queens, or he would regret it one day. What must happen will happen, in spite of all the explanations and admonitions offered. One of Panditji's admirers was the Queen of Bidhal. Raja Sahib had passed away and Rani Sahiba was suffering from some unknown chronic ailment. Panditji used to visit her 5 times a day, and Rani Sahiba would get restless if he was late for even a moment. A motor always stood at his doors. Panditji had undergone great transformation. He wore a long Indian coat with round collar, donned a Banarasi turban, and wore pump shoes. His friends too enjoyed motor rides with him. Many of his friends got recruited as employees in the court of Rani Sahiba. How did Rani Sahiba show disregard to her Masiha? But cruel spinning wheel of time was spinning another conspiracy. One day, while Panditji was feeling Rani Sahiba's pulse by holding her fair-skinned wrist in one of his hands and examining her heart rate with his other hand, some people entered the room carrying sticks and attacked him. The Rani fled away and took shelter in another room and closed the doors. Sticks rained down on Panditji. Although Panditji was a man of steady build and always carried a sword sheathed in a hollow stick, but he became helpless against his sudden assault by a gang of people. Now he just caught one or other man's feet. Alas, alas, flowed non-stop from his mouth. But those ruthless men did not have any pity on him. One of the men kicked Panditji and said, "Let's cut his nose." Another said, "Smear his face with soot and lime and let him go." The third said, "Speak out, Vaidji Maharaj, what would you prefer, a severed nose or a face painted black?" Panditji tried, "Not even by mistake. Hi, hi, I am dying." Another said, "Get out of Lucknow today itself, or something worst would happen." Panditji said, "Sarkar, I will leave today itself. I swear by my sacred thread, you won't see my face here again." The third said, "All right, let each one of us give him 5 kids and then let him go." Panditji pleaded, "Oh Sarkar, I'll die. Have mercy." The fourth said, "Imposters like you are best dead." "Oh yes, let's start." The 5 kids began to rain. Sound of loud band could be heard. It seemed as if a drum was being pounded. Each burst of kick was followed by the cry of "Hi" once, as if it was a reverberation. After 5 thrashing, the attackers dragged Mote Ramji out and put him into the motor and sent him home. Before leaving, he was given warning too, that he should just quit, run away before next morning, or he would be given another treatment. Mote Ramji reached home limping, groaning, walking on his stick, and collapsed on his cot. His wife asked, "How are you? Arey, what has happened to you? Hi, hi, what's wrong with your face?" Mote Ram replied, "Oh God, I'm dying." His wife said, "Where is the pain?" "That's why I told you not to eat too much rabdi. Shall I bring Lavan Bhaskar?" Mote Ram cried, "Hi, the scoundrels nearly killed me. Because of that witch I am in this miserable state. They have beaten me into pulp." Wife, "Then say that you have come after being thrashed. Yes, you have been beaten. Good thing happened. You are a deity who deserves kicks and thrashing. I used to warn you, don't go to the queen's place. But when did you listen?" Mote Ram, "Hi, hi, you slut. You have chosen this occasion to berate me. I am in such a wretched state, and you are reviling me. Tell someone to bring a wheelbarrow. We have to get out of Lucknow during the night itself, otherwise they would kill me in the morning." The wife went on, "No, you still haven't had your fill. Spend some more days here. You were tutoring boys with such a pleasure, and you thought of becoming a doctor? It served you right. You won't forget this whole of your life. Where was the Rani? Why didn't she come to your rescue when you were being thrashed?" Panditji replied, "Hi, hi, the witch just ran away. It was all because of her. Who knew that this would happen? Had I known it, I wouldn't have treated her." Wife, "You are really unfortunate. Your practice had picked up so well, but your misdeeds anyway ruined you. You will have to go back to tutoring. You are indeed unfortunate." Early in the morning, a cart stood at Mote Ramji's door, and the furnishings were being loaded. Not one among his friends could be seen there. Panditji was groaning, and his wife was having their effects loaded. If If you also love telling, listening, reading, and writing stories, then subscribe to this channel for daily notifications. Thank you.